Watchman Tales.
Hello? Who's down there? Hello?
Come on. Steady. Don't stop.
Welcome back to Watchman Tales. Tonight we're stepping into the shadows of empty corporate towers and desolate government compounds. These are the true accounts of guards who stood watch when the world slept and realized they were far from alone. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's begin. My name is Jake, and I've been working for my security company for about 6 years now. My seniority usually keeps me on the day shifts, but recently our company took on a new contract for a massive 6-story federal office building. The location of this place was the first warning sign. I won't give out the exact address, but imagine a huge complex sitting right in the middle of a national forest in deep rural Virginia. It was miles from the nearest town. The building was surrounded by a 10-foot metal perimeter fence topped with sharp razor wire. Total isolation. The problem? No one would stay on the overnight shift, especially the weekends. The silence out there was unnerving. My supervisor finally asked if I could pick up the weekend grave shifts until they hired new people. I needed the extra money for a down payment, so I reluctantly agreed. The first couple of weeks were fine, uneventful. But the third weekend is when things went completely sideways. The storm and the shadow. It was Saturday night, around 2 a.m. A major thunderstorm had rolled in. The rain was coming down in sheets, and lightning was flashing every few seconds. I was sitting in the camera control room on the top floor watching my monitors. I had the lights off, just trying to stay awake, when I decided to get up, stretch my legs, and grab an energy drink. Before leaving, I glanced out the window, looking past the parking lot and into the tree line. Then, a sudden, brilliant flash of lightning lit up the entire forest. And in that blinding instant, I saw it. A figure, shaped like a person, darting quickly from one thick pine tree to another, maybe 20 feet away from the perimeter fence. It was too fast, too sudden, but it was there. My heart immediately started to pound. Was I tired? Was it my imagination? I waited, staring through the blinds, praying for another flash. A few tense seconds passed, and then the sky lit up again. This time, nothing. No movement near the tree line. I dismissed it as fatigue, slammed my energy drink, and headed back to the control room. As soon as I walked in, I noticed it. One of my 3 large monitors was completely black. It was the feed from the camera covering the back section of the parking lot, facing the forest where I thought I saw the figure. I went to the window and looked. Sure enough, the camera was dangling from its wires, swinging violently in the wind. I figured the storm had knocked it loose, wrote up a quick report, and sat back down. The green light. A few minutes later, the silence was shattered by a sharp electronic alert. This was the system notification that someone was using a keypad to access a restricted door inside the building. I pulled up the access log tab. It showed the entry point being accessed was the back door, the one closest to the downed camera. A cold wave of dread washed over me. The shadow, the camera, and now this. Someone was outside. And then the final chilling confirmation hit the screen. Green light. The intruder had the code. They were in. I knew for a fact it wasn't a coworker. We would have been notified. I grabbed the landline phone to call the police, but the line was dead. I checked my cell phone. No service. The storm had taken out the communication lines. My only option was to get out. I decided to try and make it to the main lobby, burst out the front door, and drive off. I stepped out of the control room and into the hallway. I was only a few steps away from the stairwell, trying desperately to get a signal on my phone, when the power went completely out. The armed chase. The only illumination was the faint red glow of the emergency exit signs. I decided to use the darkness to my advantage and crept silently toward the stairwell. I reasoned that whoever cut the power must be in the basement by the generator room. I made it down to the 4th floor when I heard the stairwell door open all the way at the bottom. I froze on the steps. I was armed, but training and reality are two different things. I was not ready to engage. I was just hoping it wouldn't come to that. The next sound I heard was heavy, deliberate footsteps ascending the stairs. Slowly, steadily, they were climbing toward me. I pivoted instantly. New plan: run up to the 6th floor, hide in the cramped space near the roof access hatch until sunrise. I turned to run up, but as I did, the heavy frame of my issued Glock 19 pistol clipped the metal railing of the stairwell with a loud clang. The footsteps below me instantly stopped. A terrifying, silent second passed. Then I heard the sound of someone sprinting up the metal steps with terrifying speed. I bolted, running as if my life depended on it. As I reached the 6th floor landing, I had a wild, desperate idea. I violently slammed the door open, let go of the handle, and let it violently slam shut behind me. I then ran to the roof access ladder and scrambled up into the shadows just out of sight. My trick worked. The man, fooled by the noise, burst through the stairwell door and sprinted down the hallway. This was my chance. I leapt down from the ladder, landing with a loud, unavoidable thud on the concrete floor. I bolted back for the stairwell. The man heard me. I was barely down the 5th floor landing when I heard the door fly open above me and his footsteps pounding down in pursuit. We were sprinting, him 1 floor above me the entire time. I hit the lobby, but luck was finally on my side. Behind me, I heard a loud crash, followed by a quick pained cry. The intruder had tripped on the stairs. I didn't wait to confirm. I burst through the front doors, sprinted to my truck, hit the fob to unlock it, and reversed out. Just as I slammed the gear into drive and floored the accelerator, I saw him, dressed head to toe in black, mask over his face, bursting out of the building and running toward my vehicle. Tires screeching, I tore out of the lot. I didn't slow down until I hit the main highway where my phone finally got a signal. The police arrived about 15 minutes later. We searched the entire facility. Nothing. The most terrifying discovery came when the police checked the stairwell. Where the man had fallen, he had dropped his weapon, a fully loaded, unregistered, semi-automatic pistol. To this day, nobody knows who that man was, how he got the access code, or what he wanted. I only know I was one clumsy fall away from a life or death situation. My name is Chris, and I used to work the graveyard shift as a security guard in a large corporate office tower in downtown Chicago. My nights were usually silent, predictable, and frankly boring. That's why the details of one particular night are still crystal clear years later. It was just after midnight. The last employees had gone, and the main lobby was deserted. It was just me and the soft hum of the security monitors. My routine was simple: monitor cameras, log incidents, and perform periodic patrols. I was cycling through the feeds, elevators, hallways, basement, when the camera feed for the lower level underground parking garage caught my attention. I saw a figure moving slowly between the parked cars. This garage should have been completely empty. Only employees with 24-hour access key fobs could enter, and I knew for certain no one had clocked in or out in hours. The figure was wearing a long, dark, slightly oversized overcoat. They weren't moving toward a car or the exit. They were weaving slowly through the rows, like they were inspecting the area, or maybe just making sure they were alone. And something about the way they moved, too slow, too deliberate, sent a shiver up my spine. It was just off. I radioed my supervisor, who told me to stay put and just monitor the cameras. But my gut was screaming at me. I knew I had to check. The return. I grabbed my flashlight and headed to the elevator. The ride down was painfully slow. Every floor chimed, amplifying the sense of tension. When the doors opened onto the garage level, the silence was suffocating. I called out, "Security check, is anyone here?" The echo swallowed my voice whole. I slowly walked down the lanes, shining my powerful flashlight into every shadow and space between vehicles. I checked every corner. Nothing. Not a soul, not a shadow. My pulse was racing, and I started to doubt myself, thinking the camera feed might have glitched, or maybe it was just a strange reflection. Shaken, I headed back upstairs to the lobby. I sat back down at my desk, trying to normalize my breathing, but as soon as I looked at the garage feed again, he was there. Standing in the exact same spot he was in before I left. My stomach dropped. I had just been there. There was absolutely no way he could have returned to that spot without me seeing him, unless he had been hiding just out of my line of sight, or worse, he had been watching me during my entire patrol. For the next 20 minutes, I watched him. He finally started moving again, heading slowly toward the fire escape stairwell that led to the upper floors. He moved like a hunter, constantly glancing over his shoulder. He finally disappeared just as he reached the stairwell door. I frantically checked every other camera, the upper hallways, the elevator banks, the roof access. Nothing. It was impossible for him to vanish so fast, and the fact that he was gone reinforced the terrible feeling that he either had a master key to the building or he was hiding in a place no camera could see. Bare feet in the lobby. My heart was still pounding when the elevator dinged and opened in the lobby right in front of me. Nobody was inside. But on the highly polished marble floor, I noticed it. A series of wet, bare footprints leading from the elevator and out into the main lobby area. Bare feet. It was freezing outside. He must have taken his shoes off. I froze in my chair, the realization hitting me like a physical blow.
He was inside the building now. He was mobile, and every office, every closet was a potential hiding spot. I called the off-site patrol for backup, but the feeling of being hunted was too intense. I convinced myself I needed to patrol and confirm his location before backup arrived. It was the stupidest decision of my life. I took the elevator up to the 5th floor and began my slow, terrifying walk down the corridor. Every creak of the old building made me jump. Halfway down, I saw an office door slightly ajar, which was impossible, as all doors lock automatically at night. I pushed it open with my flashlight. The room was empty. I stepped back into the hallway, and that's when I heard them. Footsteps on the tile behind me. They were not mine. They were heavy, wet, and uneven, moving quickly. My heart flew into my throat. I swung the flashlight around and caught a glimpse of the dark coat at the far end of the hallway. He wasn't running, but he was closing the distance with terrifying purpose. It hit me. He had been following me the whole time, a predator waiting for the perfect moment. I bolted, sprinting blindly toward the nearest stairwell. The footsteps followed immediately, echoing in the confined space. I dived into the stairwell, nearly collapsing, and slammed the door shut behind me. The heavy footsteps stopped abruptly on the tile outside. I sat there, shaking, trying to catch my breath, convinced I was losing my mind. When the patrol finally arrived, I was pale and sweating. We swept the building, every floor, every room. The garage was empty. No intruder, no footprints, no sign. But when we checked the security footage from the time the man appeared, the video was gone. It had been overwritten, leaving a suspicious, chilling gap in the recording that made my skin crawl. I quit that job within the month. I still check over my shoulder whenever I'm in an empty building, half expecting to see that long, dark coat rounding a corner and hear those quiet, wet footsteps closing in behind me.
Yeah, it's on this floor.
Stay close. If it moves, we drop it.
Door's cold, like someone's just been through.
It's still on 4. It hasn't moved all night.
Then why is it humming like that?
I don't know. Just keep the light on it.
Hear that?
Yeah.
It's dropping. And going back up.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Coming from the car.
This happened just a few days ago on my very first night of training as a mobile security guard. A mobile guard, for those who don't know, drives around and performs site visits for clients. My supervisor, Mike, was a nice guy, and he was showing me the ropes, how to do patrols, write reports, and handle minor alarms. This incident took place at a major medical plaza and pharmacy facility in suburban Dallas. Around 1:15 a.m., we were routed to the clinic for a regular scheduled perimeter patrol. Important detail, there was no alarm call from dispatch. Everything should have been quiet. But as soon as we pulled up, we knew something was terribly wrong. First, the underground parking garage gate was suspiciously left open. Second, the front glass doors of the building had been busted wide open. Mike, my supervisor, immediately started panicking. How is this possible? If someone broke in, the alarm should be going off. Since this was a brand new contract, We approached the building cautiously. The lobby was dark, but that wasn't the worst part. The unmanned ascent. We stepped inside, and Mike pointed up to the elevator display panel. "Look at that," he whispered. "The elevator is moving by itself." Sure enough, the display lights showed the elevator moving from G1 to 2, then 3, and finally stopping at level 4, the very top floor. I asked if he thought someone was inside. Mike immediately nodded and pulled out his baton. My stomach churned. Adrenaline was flooding my body, and I was instantly overwhelmed. We entered the elevator and hit the button for the top floor. Going up, I had the horrible thought, what if this person or thing is waiting for us? What if they rush us the moment the doors open? Fortunately, when the doors slid open on the 4th floor, the hallway was empty, but pitch black. We flipped on the main lights and started clearing the rooms. Mike was clearly on edge. "Stick with me," he barked, "and be ready to swing that stick." We checked every room, every corner. Nothing. We were utterly shocked and confused. Then we both heard it, the clear sound of footsteps rushing down the fire escape stairwell. We bolted toward the stairwell door to intercept the intruder, but just as we were about to open it, the footsteps suddenly stopped. The ambush call. Dead silence fell over the building. We could only hear our own heavy breathing. We stood there, paralyzed, facing a thick metal door, knowing someone was just on the other side. What Mike said to dispatch is burned into my memory. A4 to C25, we need immediate armed backup. Be advised, we have an intruder in the stairwell. He's hiding downstairs, possibly armed, and waiting for us to come to him so he can ambush us. Do not approach the scene alone. Dispatch told us to stay put. Mike was panicking, which only made the situation 10 times worse for me. He was supposed to be the calm one, the leader. I tried to reassure him, calling him bro since he was only a few years older. "Don't worry, bro. Backup will be here soon." You might ask why we didn't just run for the exit. Because the suspect was now on the ground floor. If we took the elevator, the noise would alert him and he could easily block the lobby door. If we took the stairs, we would be walking directly into his blind ambush. Our only safe spot was on the 4th floor, waiting for backup. 15 minutes later, we heard the lobby door open and our senior field supervisor's voice echo, "Security." Mike radioed him, "Sir, we're upstairs. Be careful. There's someone downstairs waiting for us." A few minutes later, the senior supervisor met us and we began a collective sweep. We started at the basement and worked our way up. As we were methodically scanning the 3rd floor, checking every office and restroom, we heard the main front door suddenly open downstairs, followed by the sound of footsteps sprinting outside. We weren't fast enough. By the time we made it to the lobby, the suspect was gone. Mike and I were in shock. We had searched every possible hiding spot and found nothing. Either that person was a genius at concealment, or the clinic was genuinely haunted. I may never know. But here's the kicker. This coming weekend, I have to perform the perimeter patrol for that same site, and this time I'll be on my own. I just hope that elevator stays put. Thanks for watching Watchman Tales.
You've seen their story.
is only just